Surviving a suicide attempt. Trust self-healing and therapy to keep away depression. Warning, this video discusses suicide. There's no nice way to say it. Suicide is one of the leading causes of death in the US. But what happens when someone survives a suicide attempt? According to the CDC, many do. 2019, the agency reported that there were over 47,000 suicides in the US and 1.4 million attempts. And while those aren't great numbers, and the CDC thinks that they may be underreported, it suggests that less than 5% of suicides are fatal. Here's something else. CDC reports that 90% of people who survive a suicide attempt don't go on to die by suicide at a later date. How do people feel after a suicide attempt? As you might expect, the answer to this question tends to be extremely personal. Here's an example. Kevin Hines, who is now a suicide prevention speaker with his own YouTube channel, survived a jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he described having second thoughts almost immediately after jumping. Another case is that of the author Clancy Martin, who has survived 10 suicide attempts. In an interview with NPR, Martin described himself as living with two ideas in his head: that he wishes he were dead, and that he's glad his suicides failed. Quote, "I am tremendously relieved that I did not die as a consequence of any of my suicide attempts. I'm so relieved that I'm alive," end quote. Martin went on to say that a former director of the National Suicide Prevention Line told him that people who survive suicide attempts have a superpower because they know exactly what it's like to suffer in that way and can go on to help others, which is what Hines and Martin have gone on to do. The fact that the overwhelming number of people who attempt suicide don't appear to try again is certainly good news, but that doesn't mean they don't need help. Healing after a suicide attempt. I'll say it simply. A suicide attempt is a sign of a serious problem. While it's good to hear that most people who survive suicide attempts don't try again, the issues that inspire the attempt need addressing. Professional mental health will help you safely explore the roots of your issues and help you learn about yourself. Also, professional mental health care is confidential. Therapists like me keep our sessions private. That said, there are some things you can do after surviving a suicide attempt. Self-kindness is extremely important. Listen to how you talk and think about yourself. If you're thinking thoughts like, "I'm useless" or "I'm a waste of space," try thinking about the ways you're valuable. Support groups are also very useful, especially in addressing the feelings of guilt and shame that can come in the wake of a suicide attempt. Plus, when you attend a self-help group, you know you're not alone. Also, self-care is important too. Eating right, getting plenty of sleep, and avoiding alcohol and other drugs is incredibly beneficial in the long run. Mental health treatment is a second chance at life. If you survived a suicide attempt, you need real help. Professional mental health interventions will give you the resources you need to rebuild your life. Also, if you're thinking you might hurt yourself, please call the suicide hotline at 988. I'm Jeremy Arts, and I've seen a lot of people turn their lives around through treatment. Our mental health programs will help you safely address your problems and learn new, healthy ways to cope. Just reach out to the Edge Treatment Center at 844-590-0403 to learn more. If you're willing to, feel free to share your story in the comments below. It can be really helpful for others to read. Thanks for watching our video. See you next time.